Panthers are up 10-0.
Oh, wow. We've been live for 16 seconds. That's nice. Didn't notice that. Well, welcome, everybody. Week 10, Sunny Days Media Football Show. That's a way to fucking start. We got some viewers already in here. We had some people waiting in the chat. Before we open up the show with any games, I did want to open up with something very important. I think every one of us, I believe in this chat, or Zach, you were when you lived back at home. We all have dogs. We all love our dogs. They're part of our family. We don't just look at them as your pet. You look at them as a sibling, as a child. The football world lost Ben the dog today, Ben Herbstreit. That really sucks. Ben was battling cancer. I know Kirk was giving him chemo pills or shots on the road and stuff. That sucks. It was really, really cool seeing Ben in the booth, all those memes. We lost Jerry.
No, Jerry's gone.
It was really cool seeing Ben in the booth for all of that. Oh, I got to move all you guys around here. Sorry, boys.
Man.
Yeah, I don't know why.
About that. I don't know. Yeah, my StreamYard's all messed up.
All right. But I just wanted to give a very
rest
quick
in peace, Ben
eulogy
Herbstreit, dude. That was sad.
Yeah, that was sad. Sad news.
The football world lost a great one.
Sad. My dog is hearing me somehow. She knows about Ben.
We have a nice, not a great slate today, if I'm being honest with you. But there was something I noticed before we jump into the games here. You have 7 home dogs today. 7 home dogs. You have the Texans against the Lions. Texans are a dog. Bucks are a dog. Bucks are a home dog. Saints are a home dog. Colts are a home dog. Jacksonville, Dallas, and the Cardinals are all home dogs. The most intriguing one, I feel like a lot of those make sense. What doesn't make sense to me so much is the Cardinals being home dogs. And I'm not knocking the Jets at all. The Jets had a nice win last week. But the Cardinals are a decent team. They're leading the NFC West. I believe they're on a 3-game win streak here. I mean, is there that little faith in that Arizona fan base? Because it's, I mean, my brother lives in Arizona. I've been down there. It's a decent fan base. They show up to games. I know Jet fans travel well. What's the thought process? I mean, it's kind of a pick 'em. It's 1.5.
It is a pick 'em.
That's still kind of crazy, I think.
No, it's weird that the NFL, maybe not so much the NFL, but I guess Vegas refuses to take the Cardinals seriously. I feel like the Cardinals has been dogs probably the majority of the season so far in all the games they've played. Mm-hmm. And with that, like you said, Past, like they're a dangerous team. You know, they got a couple of weapons. Kyler's probably playing his best ball that he's been playing, I think, in the past 2-3 years, I think it's safe to say. And it's just, I don't know, it makes you scratch your head. The Jets have also been James Conner.
He's having a great season.
The top 5 running back.
He's averaging 4.5 a carry against a bad Jets rush defense.
If you want to talk about that,
so like I don't know. I don't see why they're home dogs today. I don't agree with that. I think if you're a gambler, throw the Cardinals in some form.
Money line, yeah.
I'm personally
the Jets are playing playoff football right now in November because that was what the GM said, that we just wanted to play some meaningful games in December. So
yeah, make it happen. But the Vegas has a problem in over favoring the Jets. I feel like we've been favored in more games than we haven't been, and we don't deserve it. Like even trying to think back, it wasn't the Niners game. There was one of the primetime games where we were going through the skid hard. We were favored by like 3 points or something like that. We had no business being favored. Let me see if I can find the game that it was. And it's just it hurts us more than it helps us. It might have been. It was the Vikings game. It was the Vikings game. There was no reason why the Jets should have been favored against at that point 4-0 Vikings team. You know, and yeah, sure, we could have won that game and should have won that game. That's neither here nor there. But they got to calm down with that and start calling it for what it is. I feel like it's very the way they do the capping is kind of weird to me. But whatever. They probably know something I don't. 1.5 though makes me feel confident in the Jets because -1.5 has been winning all season long. To go back to the numbers here, so we'll see what happens. I'm not touching that game. I'm just going to watch it as a fan.
They have a better team, and that's why they're favored.
The Jets do have a better team, and even though Sauce has been kind of having a down year in his 3rd year, you still look at him against Marvin Harrison, and he should put the clamps on him, and it should be. And And even though Jerry, I know you said Kyler's having a good year, he's put up some absolute stinkers this year. So this could be another game where you see Kyler throw for, sub 150, sub 150, and just a bad game overall. And I know, Matt, you said that there's a bad slate of games. It's weird. It wouldn't have been if there wasn't so many injuries. Like a lot of these games, you look at the Bucs and the 49ers. I mean, Godwin and Evans don't go down. That's not a bad game. If Prescott doesn't go down, the Eagles-Cowboys is going to be a great game. So it's a weird one. Injuries have kind of ruined this week for us, essentially.
I feel like kind of the best game in the 1 o'clock window is maybe Buffalo and Indy. Either that or Broncos at Chiefs. I'm interested in seeing if the Broncos get blown out 2 weeks in a row. I was not that I was shocked last week. They got killed by the Ravens, but I thought they were going to be able to play them tighter. The Ravens came, they balled out. So, credit to them. The way that the power rankings are, I guess you have to call the Chiefs the best team in football, but I don't see it. I don't see it at all. I think
the best team in the AFC.
They're not the best team in football. They have the best record in football.
They have the best record. I mean, that's it, right?
Difference.
I think if the Ravens or Bills lined up right now against the Chiefs, I think they'd fucking kill them.
Oh yeah. And I think the Texans would give them a run for their money too, to be honest. I mean, I know the Texans have been playing a little bit off, but a healthy Texans team versus that Chiefs team, I think I'd lean Texans.
Hard to agree.
Well, we might as well talk about the team that's playing right now.
God, I don't want to.
What a good miss for the Giants. I mean, you're looking for a quarterback. I mean, come on, dude.
God.
Hey, great day to take the Panthers spread.
This is like a must lose for the Giants.
This is a must lose.
Perfect. It really
is. This is the game where Brian Dable gets fired. You saw
Dennis Allen. I don't think so, dude. I don't think so.
You saw Dennis Allen. You saw Dennis Allen get fired after getting beaten by an awful Panthers team last week. And not only are the Giants playing bad, this game is being poorly coached. This is a Panthers team that allows over 150 rushing yards per game, and they've run the ball 4 times in the first quarter in, 3-4 minutes? Well, he's letting Daniel Jones throw the ball 10 times, and he has, I think, 3 completions.
Yeah, he's so bad.
Fucking disgusting.
You have to ran the ball fan I know that's anti-Dable. I feel like Dable's going nowhere, dude. Dable's like their best chance. I understand things are tough right now, and he's probably coaching with what he can, but I think you have a better shot of seeing Dimes getting benched than Dable getting fired.
Every time Dable opens up the playbook for Daniel Jones, they suck. When he neuters him and forces him into those little option runs and risks his quarterback having a shoulder injury or a concussion, the Giants win. But you know what? It's not worth it to try and win. It really isn't. I'm sorry. I like the way that they're losing. Shador and Cam Ward are better quarterbacks right now in college than Daniel Jones is. So
it's not.
Cam Ward is. Shador not so much. In my opinion.
I mean, we'll see. I mean,
they
can both make every throw. Daniel Jones can't throw an out route.
No, he can't. And to go back to that point of Dable, I love Dable. I think he will be a great offensive coordinator for another team. He's not a leader. I think he will not be a great head coach. And the Giants need a change of scenery. The Giants need a change of scenery, and so does he. He will never succeed here. This is just a toxic situation.
Timeout. Okay, on all this Dable talk. Timeout.
No.
This is a guy that elevated the Bills, right? We saw them take a major hit when he left, okay?
Yes.
He comes into a 2022 Giants team that had 0 expectations. 0, okay? Not like, oh, maybe they'll be good. No. 0 expectations. They were a 5-6 win team. He got them to win 9 games, brought them to the playoffs. Okay, he beat a shitty Vikings team, but they won a playoff game. And he did it with a disaster of a roster, okay? And for the past 2 years, Joe Schoen, I'm sorry, has done him no favors. No favors whatsoever. Okay, the trade deadline comes and goes, and you're asking for a day 2 pick for Azeez Ojulari? Are you kidding me? And then when no one bites on that, you just do nothing? Is there an extension waiting for him? I don't think so. So what are you doing? What are you doing? You let Saquon walk? You give, and I understand why
he didn't let Saquon walk. I don't think.
No. He let Saquon walk.
That was
he let Saquon walk. Bullshit. You let him walk. Okay, that guy was your entire offense, and you just let him walk. I understand why you were backed into a corner and you had to pay Daniel Jones. I get it. Was it a disaster of a contract? Yes, it was. But the team had just won a playoff game. They were picking too high to get a quarterback. I get it completely. And I don't think it was a horribly worded contract. There's a way of getting out of it after this year. Totally get it. But you let the guy that's your entire offense just fucking walk? And then
That
what?
was
And what
terrible.
was your backup plan? Singletary? Nah, man, I'm sorry. Joe Shane has failed the Giants more than Brian Dable has. Brian Dable every week is trying to make chicken soup out of chicken shit. The Giants are a bad team. You've got some nice spots on your defense. Fine, I'll give you that. Ojulari, Dexter Lawrence, Deontay Banks, I believe, is going to blossom into a really good corner in this league. Outside of that, you do not have a good team. You've got a really bad team. Your special teams is fucking bad. People are talking about your punter. The 2021, all we could talk about in the Lions was our punter. That's what you could talk about with the New York Giants. I'm sorry. Joe Shane has failed this team. So if you're showing Brian Dable the door, you better show Joe Shane the door too.
100%.
They easily
you know
could
what?
have fit Saquon too. It's
and I'll
so
tell
they
you this.
did it on purpose to him.
I'll tell you this. If I am the
stuffed him like they
Chicago
did.
Bears, who is probably going to fire Matt Eberflus at the end of the year, I am waiting for the New York Giants to make another horrible decision. Fire Brian Dable. I will call him up and say, here's a blank check. You're running this organization now. Okay? If you're the New York Giants, you have had, what, 4? This will be 4 head coaches. 4 head coaches since Tom Coughlin.
Daniel Jones came in the. Since
I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit when Daniel Jones came in.
No, I'm
4
just
head
saying.
coaches. You cannot let Brian Dable walk out the door because your general manager failed your organization. You want to fire Joe Shane? Go ahead and fire him. Do not fire Brian Dable. If you do, you're a moron, and you're going to be in another 5-6 year cycle of a disaster, an absolute disaster.
I don't think it's necessarily the fact that Dable will be a bad coach elsewhere. I think it's a problem that they need to change the scenery. Both guys do. I don't think Dable.
How many times are we going to say that as Jets and no? But how many times as Jets and Giants fans are we going to say they need to change the scenery? At some point, you've got to give someone the keys and let them fucking drive this car. At some point, you've got to do that. You have given Brian Dable nothing to work with on offense. Nothing. You haven't drafted him a good offensive. Okay, Andrew Thomas. You drafted Andrew Thomas.
That was before
You missed
him.
on
That was
Will
before
Hernandez.
him.
I'm
him.
sorry. I don't see it.
But-
And if we lose Ben Johnson, I would love to bring in Brian Dable and have him call our offense because this guy's an offensive fucking genius. The one somewhat bright spot, like I said, to this team is the defense. I think you got to give this time, and you got to give this guy pieces to work with. You got to go out in free agency and actually bring in people. And if that means overpaying, then that's kind of what you have to do.
Sam Darnold.
Yeah, Sam Donald's the answer. Go ahead.
Better than fucking Daniel Jones. And
That doesn't
honestly,
me
on a
being the
2-3
skinniest guy in a room of Weight Watchers does not make me skinny or in good shape. It just means that I'm not
on a
as fat as
2-3
the next guy. Sam Darnold's not a good quarterback. He's a backup. And you're seeing it right now in Minnesota. The minute they line up against a really good team, they get shellacked. That's what happens.
as a 2 or 3 year contract while you let a rookie sit behind him, that might be an option. What? Oh my God.
Fine, but you could do that with Tommy DeVito. This team responds to Tommy DeVito.
Can't.
Just
You can't do that.
Hell yeah.
Tommy
if
DeVito
you're talking about tanking, yeah, all right, just keep tanking with Tommy DeVito, get better draft picks, and I don't know.
I think that you had David Gettleman, which everyone said was a bad, he was a bad GM, and then you
was a
have
bad
Joe
GM.
Shane that used his roster and basically got lucky and made the playoffs, and then thought he was God and thought he didn't have to pay Saquon because he's a running back. And when GMs make those decisions, when they're pompous and they think that they know better, that's the second you have to get rid of them, because once they think that they're better than what they really are, they're going to screw your team. His drafts are as bad. I mean,
He
what
hasn't hit on a day one or
Kayvon
two picks
Thibodeau?
since he's been in the
I'm
league.
sorry. I would
He's gonna
trade
die.
Kayvon Thibodeau. Evan Neal, unbelievable.
Hire-
I
send
can't
him to
even talk
McDonald's.
about the guy. Hey, send him to McDonald's. Wandale Robinson, you don't hang your hat on Wandale Robinson as a good draft class. Deontay Banks hasn't played well. John Michael Schmidt, I don't know.
Eh.
He's basically
But
a
he was a
bust.
mid-round pick. I can't
He was a
kill
mid-round
John
pick.
Michael.
He was a
second round
second-round
pick. You
pick.
have to hit on second round picks. And you know what happened? They took him before Joe Tippmann, right? Or no?
Yeah. No. Tippmann. No, Tippmann went
I don't
before him,
remember.
think.
I think Tippmann might
Tippmann went to the Jets, right?
Yeah, Tippmann. I think
Yeah,
went before.
Tippmann went before him. But he hasn't hit on a day 1 or 2 pick since he's been with the Giants. His best day 1 or 2 pick is Drew Phillips. We drafted this fucking year. And who's out? As who's basically a slot corner who's playing on the outside. I mean, he fucking fell ass backwards into that pick. He found someone and threw him into a position that he shouldn't be playing that is now working out. Deontay Banks has been terrible. We can't sugarcoat it. Kayvon Thibodeau has not been good. Evan Neal, waste of a pick. Wandale Robinson, bad. I mean, it just, the list goes on and on and on. And I think the problem is you can't just obviously this is all Joe Shane, but Brian Dable's in that room too. Brian Dable's getting listened to too. So if you're gonna blame the Giants and Joe Shane for what he's done with this team, you have to shift some of the blame to Dable, because it's not like Shane's running everything and Dable's just calling the plays. He's part of these decisions.
You're giving Brian Dable like wet pieces of wood and matches they hand out at a bar and telling him
he's
to
a part of
build
the
a campfire.
He's helping build this organization. That's the thing. Is he's drafting some of these players, whether the final decision comes down to him or not. He's putting his input in. And the fact that the product on the field is as bad as it is, it has to reflect.
He's got to shoulder some of the blame. I mean, yeah, he's the head coach. He's the head coach, but I don't think you're looking at a Doug Peterson in Jacksonville situation, a Matt Patricia in Detroit situation. Like, you're not looking at a disaster of a locker room. You're not looking at a lot like Matt Eberflus has lost the locker room in Chicago, and it's like a known thing.
The GM though can also play a part in losing the locker room. I mean, Doug Peterson lost the locker room because of the GM, not because of himself. You know, he had the locker room, and the GM brought in a bunch of losers. And losers deserve to lose at the end of the day, and that's what's happening. I don't think the Giants. Is
Shad Khan the GM or just the owner?
He's the owner, but he's toast. He's fried.
He has his hands in all the buckets.
I think he has early onset dementia, so that's why they kept the GM around as long as they did. But now,
Shad Khan's not old. How old?
Shad Khan's like 70 something. He's said. His son is going to wind up taking over the team. Okay. Yeah, Tony Khan's going to take over the team, but he's focused on AEW wrestling.
You guys got me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I can hear you.
I can hear you. It's been cut in and out a little bit, Jerry.
Yeah, I think Jerry's frozen.
I think
nope, Jerry's back.
Jerry's
God damn it.
But it said, so they basically gave the keys to Balky, and he, Trevor Lawrence took a really bad team. Jaguars were the worst team in football. They let up 30 points every single week, and they acquired Trevor Lawrence because of how bad they were. Then the following year, they got Doug Peterson, and they went to the playoffs with a horrible roster. And what did the GM do? Thought he was this smart guy, just like the Giants. And what did he do? He didn't acquire more talent. So the team that didn't have talent didn't acquire more talent. They rolled out a similar team. Other teams caught up. The Jaguars, the quarterback got hurt, and the Jaguars faltered down the stretch. They went 9-8 again, but they missed the playoffs this time. So you missed the playoffs after going 9-8, thinking that you have a good team. Now this year, they're like, oh, we do need to acquire talent. He missed on all the areas of acquiring talent except for Brian Thomas. And now you have a quarterback that, isn't playing he wants the GM and the coach out of here because Doug
Peterson is surgery. I thought
it's not because of the labor.
He hurt his non-throwing shoulder. The team is 2-7. He can play if he wanted to play today. He does not want to play because fuck the coach and fuck the GM. They drafted him and they fucked every single thing up after that. And he's carrying them. And then the problem with Doug Peterson is that he's always going to be as hard as he can on the quarterback because he was a quarterback. Here's the problem. Evan Ingram was nothing until Trevor Lawrence started throwing to him. Christian Kirk is wide receiver 3 in Arizona before Trevor Lawrence got his hands on him. Zay Jones isn't even an NFL receiver unless Trevor Lawrence is throwing to him. Then you have Brian Thomas, who he immediately made a player. And he was throwing to Marvin Jones, throwing him, 7 touchdowns a game at 30-something years old. Trevor Lawrence has pretty much created players out of thin air on the receiving side of the football. But they think that that's good enough. The problem is you can't drop 70 passes over 3 seasons and think that your receiving core is good enough. Trevor Lawrence is being handicapped by the players around him. And they don't hold anybody accountable except the quarterback. I wouldn't play. I got my money. Fuck you. You're out of here. I have a 5-year, $150 million contract. I pick the fucking coach now because you go fuck yourself after giving me nothing my first year, giving me nothing my second year. Think about it. They gave him Urban Meyer. They fucked him over. They gave him no roster, and he brought him to the playoffs. Then they thought the roster was good because he brought him to the playoffs, and they fucked him. And then this year, they brought Ronald Darby in to fix their secondary problems. They are constantly screwing the quarterback over. He traded away his left tackle. They can't figure out left guard, or they can't figure out. They barely figured out left guard. The center, they got a guy with 5 or 6 concussions that's there for a year, and I'm sorry, the offense needs to be opened up, and they need to throw the ball down the field, and they need to go get a guy like T. Higgins here that Trevor Lawrence can actually throw the ball to, like, or a real player that can catch the football.
A real
Because
receiver.
Gabe Davis,
think we see
give me a break.
Do you think we see a Doug Peterson reunion in Philly?
I think Doug Peterson will be a.
Yeah,
I think
Philly
he'd
would-
be,
that'd be a
I hope
disaster.
that he gets another opportunity as an offensive coordinator. I'm sure he will. He's a fantastic offensive coordinator. He's a good head coach, but no matter who you are, it is always about who you hire.
Yeah.
The head coach is responsible for hiring his coordinators, and Doug Peterson has failed since he left Philadelphia at hiring defensive-minded defensive coordinators on the opposite side of the football. So that's his
Robert
biggest
Saleh's
fault.
looking for a job.
He should no. He's horrible.
There we go.
Is he?
Yeah, he's the worst.
I don't think
Watch
he's a
what
bad
happened to the
def-
Jets today.
I don't
I'm
think he's a
sorry.
bad defensive mind.
When you have a cookie cutter defensive scheme and you need to acquire all this talent around your, in your locker room to have a successful defense, I think you suck. Because at the end of the day, your scheme might work if you have a ton of pressure and you have a lockdown corner. But when you don't have those things, you let up a lot of yards in the running game and you let up a lot of yards in the passing game. They have this extreme bend don't break defense. It doesn't work. They're going to get
the rules are set up for the offense to win. I mean, that, like, call it what it is,
100%.
right? That's what it is, right? The roughing
the
the
roughing the
passer,
passer,
pass
yeah.
interference, everything, holding, everything is set up. Defensive holding, everything is set up for the offense to win.
Everything.
I think it's really, you could be an offensive coordinator and kind of succeed with with not so many playmakers. You could throw some points up. It's really hard in this league as a defensive coordinator to make, as Jerry says, chicken soup out of chicken shit. When you've got no pass rush, when you've got no secondary, like, that's your two
You weren't
biggest
the one
things.
saying that?
Jerry, yeah, I said it before.
Yeah, I say
I
that.
know. I was
Jerry-
fucking with you.
That's an old Coach Dolan euphemism. Shout out New Eye Park Memorial.
That's the truth of it. I mean, if you've got no one good, like the Jags they missed on I mean, Jesus Christ, picking whatever his name was, Wilson over Aiden Hutchinson. That was a fucking disaster.
Wilson.
Is
Wasn't
that
it,
who it was? Tavon Wilson? What's his name?
Tavon Walker.
Tavon Walker. Picking Walker over Hutchinson was a disaster. Jalen Ramsey
Perfect.
leaving town, that hurt them. So it's really hard in this league when you've got no names back there. It could work for a couple of weeks. You see Brian Flores kind of do it in Minnesota. I mean, he does it everywhere he goes, but it's really hard. I mean, look at the situation
Oh
the
God.
Patriots are in, right? The
you
Patriots
watching that, Zach?
That was fucking terrible.
This team's
You have
let
a
the ball
third
go.
and
Throw
one.
the
You guys.
fucking ball. This guy
I'm
sucks.
watching
He should
streaming.
be benched. I swear to God, I hate when these teams do this to fan bases. Get him out of the fucking game.
But
Get
that
him
was
out of
just
the
a
game.
terrible
Throw it to
play.
Wanda Robinson. Throw it to Neighbors. Throw it to anybody.
Run the
Fuck this
ball.
guy.
Run the ball.
I don't even like the Giants. I hate when teams do this to the fan base. I'm sorry.
That
Keep
was
going.
terrible. It was a
Bullshit.
3rd and 1, and you have the worst rush defense, and they decided to throw a flea flicker.
Everybody
instead
was
of just run the ball
open,
down the
Zach.
gut.
So
No, I know.
everybody was open.
I know. It was just terrible.
Um,
3 pump fakes and fucking get sacked.
while our blood pressure's high, Jerry, you want to get us into Jets in Arizona?
Yeah. Going into the desert, baby. Like we said at the beginning of the game, we feel as if the Cardinals don't get the respect they receive, or deserve, rather.
Right.
And I'm weary about this game. This is obviously an important game. Like Fusino said, we're playing playoff football in November, which, that's important. That's looking good. The line's at 1.5 here, so we'll see. I mean, coming off, I'm going to call spade a spade right now. Halloween, everyone's hailing Halloween as a great Jets game. I feel like nobody watched that first half. I was sitting on my couch waiting for trick-or-treaters to come by my house, pulling my hair out, motherfucking up and down. Just, it was a disaster. That first half was disgusting football. And then they came out in the second half, and I don't know what they did in the locker room, but it seemed to work. And so if they can keep that momentum, things are all looking really good for the Jets here. If you look at the standings in the AFC, the Bengals lost on Thursday, which opens up, the route was always there, but now the road is wide open and all the traffic lights are green. All we have to do is just run the table, as Aaron Rodgers loves to say. And going into this game, Ben, I don't know. I mean, like Zach said, Kyler is known to throw up a stinker here and there, so we can get him. If Sauce finally takes accountability and decides to play like we all know he can play and stops faking injuries every time he gets burned, and then we get a little bit more pressure from this coveted defensive line we're supposed to have, I think we might be able to do pretty decent on defense. And as far as the offense goes, the name of the game is just going to be let Breece Hall run to the outside. Stop running a 32 dive with this guy and let him bounce out, get out there, throw him a screen, do something, but don't utilize it. You want to run the ball on the inside, use Braylon Allen. Let him be your inside guy. And if you're going to go to the outside, use Breece Hall because he's going to break away and run for like 35 yards at a clip. So
get Breece Hall into open space and take advantage of that secondary. That Cardinals team does not have a good secondary, and you have Garrett Wilson who's blossomed into a star since that Vikings game. I mean, he's really stepped his game up, and Devontae Adams still got some juice left. So
absolutely, absolutely, Devontae Adams was great. So if we can just maximize the connections here, and I know we got rid of Mike Williams a couple weeks ago, last week, whatever. Yeah, it's whatever. Our receiving core is going to be revolving around that 1-2 punch that's Adams and Wilson. So we utilize them correctly. And listen, I know I've had my choice words about Aaron Rodgers. Pask had to call me. I believe it was the Patriots game. You called me at the end of the game, and I had tears in my eyes. I was literally, the noose was tied. It was in the closet on the coat hanger, just ready to go. I was standing on the little step stool, and then
you were straight up fucking Frank Reynolds.
I was ready to go, dude. It was it. I was
leave me, let me hang.
Whatever. Go on, fucking McAfee. You sell out. Whatever. Just choice words for the guy. And I've since changed my tune. But hey, that's New York sports, baby. That's how it goes. One day I hate you, the next day you're my best friend. Baby. Yeah, exactly. So listen, for what it's worth, Aaron hasn't been playing bad. I think he has 7 interceptions.
He had a good second half. He had a very good second half against Texas.
Which is fine. Listen, football games are won in the second half. That's perfectly fine. But I would much rather you come out and play a complete game. That's just me. Maybe I'm in the minority there. I don't know. But if you look at the records here, the Cardinals are 5-4. We're 3-6. It's whatever. The Cardinals are on top of their division, but their division's not doing too hot. A lot of those teams are 500 and suffering from injuries. Seattle, San Fran, Los Angeles. And then, like I was saying, seven interceptions, 15 yards, 2,100 yards. 7 interceptions, 15 touchdowns, 2,100 yards. He's not playing bad. I have on one of my fantasy teams. He's good for like 17 points a game. He's eclipsed 300, I believe, once this season. He's been upwards of 250 multiple times. I think that Aaron Rodgers, we love to talk shit about him. He's such a polarizing figure in the New York sports media, but I honestly think that he can come out and hopefully steer this ship and get us a wild card spot. But we know how this is going to go. We're going to run the table. We're going to get to week 16. We're going to lose a crucial game to I don't know. I don't even know what the schedule is. But let's
the Bills or the Dolphins.
Let's call it the Panthers. I don't know. Just some shitty team we should beat. I'm looking. The Bills or the Dolphins. That's what it comes down to for those last.
So we're
gonna lose to the Jaguars on December 15th. That's the game we're gonna lose, and that's gonna ruin the fucking season. That's the game right there.
Probably.
A positive, one positive to look at today. I know Kyler's only got 3 interceptions, but he's also got 3 lost fumbles here. He's in total between rushing and passing. He's got 13 touchdowns. Oh, I calculated this wrong. 13 touchdowns and 6 total turnovers. So he's at like a 2-to-1 ratio. So you could definitely you want to be in that 3-to-1, 4-to-1. Obviously, 2-to-1 is kind of average quarterback play. Yeah. So if you could, and Bass, that kind of goes back to what you said, where he's laid up some stinkers.
It really has. I mean, there's some games I think he has.
If you could get him to turn the ball over today, if you could get Kyler Murray to turn the ball over today, and you could capitalize, and either obviously pick 6 would be great, but. Anything, just get him to turn the ball over and find points on that drive, whether it be field goal, whether it be a touchdown. That would be big. That's truly. I mean, we say it all the time with the turnover battle, but I think today, if Rodgers has a clean slate, Rodgers doesn't have to throw for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. If Rodgers could have a clean slate, hang on to the ball, put it in the windows that he has to. and just take care of the ball, throw it away when there's nothing there, and you get Kyler to turn the ball over once, I think you're going to win this game.
Yeah.
I genuinely believe that.
Another big thing too. I mean, the outside of Marvin Harrison and Trey McBride, the Cardinals don't really have many weapons. And if you can put some pressure on Marvin Harrison all game, he has not looked good. I mean, yeah, he's had some big games, but when he's had pressure and he's dropped a bunch of balls, he hasn't been able to get open in some instances. And if you take that away from Kyler Murray and all he has is Trey McBride, the Jets should be in prime position to win. And honestly, what is definitely a must win for the Jets? I know it's early, only week 10, but what are they, 3-6? We said so.
It's playoff football in November.
They need to win every game here on out. And then the Cardinals, too. I mean, yeah, they're 5-4. They're leading that division, but you don't feel good about that. You got the Rams who are on the upswing. You have the Seahawks who are probably a better team than them. I mean, when they're healthy. And the 49ers who are 100% a better team than them when they're healthy. And they have McCaffrey coming back today. So the Cardinals at this point, they basically, to keep pace and to stay in a playoff spot, they're going to have to win as many games as possible because all three of those teams are gunning for them right now. And they should be. Should eclipse them. They'll eclipse them if they lose any games.
Facino, you're on mute here.
Yeah, I just am worried about the defense. I think the Jets can't stop the run, and the Jets have they're so rigid in their defensive structure, and they just think that they're better than you, and they're not. It's the NFL. You have to out-scheme the opposing team to win. So can they stop the run?
Something else to watch here too. James Conner has fumbled 3 times this year and has lost only one of them, but he's fumbled 3 times.
Well, if we can get pressure on the edge with Stevie Mack's boy Willie Mack, I guess that makes sense why he was your boy Stevie Mack. We can get the pressure on him and just infiltrate the pocket, let him have it. That's it. I don't know how their offensive line is, but if we need to just penetrate. That's the name of the game here.
It's just concerning that they run a 4-3 with such a small defensive line, and they get pushed off the ball, and they create gaps through their formations and their linebackers. I mean, they can fill. They're just not very good at filling, and they over pursue, and they're not good against the run. And if they get run over, then they will have to run blitz. And if they run blitz, then Trey McBride is going to eat them up over the middle of the field because that's what happens when you run blitz. You become susceptible to the tight end hitting you up over the middle of the field. So I am a little concerned that they will have to score 30 points, and they haven't scored 30 points yet. But they can, but I think they might have to today. So I think it's a 50-50 chance that the Jets win this game.
Another good game. We kind of touched on it before. And I'll make a note of. Well, I have it written down here too. But let's get into Broncos Chiefs. Chiefs are 8-0. The Chiefs are
9-0.
9, yeah.
No, they're 8-0.
8-0. They had a bye.
Oh, they had a bye. Bye 2 weeks.
Denver is 5-4. Denver they're another team that's really played up and down. They just got their ass handed to in Baltimore. Before that, they had a 2-game win streak against 2 bad NFC South teams, Saints and Panthers. They've beaten up on the bad teams and they've lost to the good teams. They had that tight game against the Jets weeks ago, about a month ago now. So I'm interested in seeing what the Broncos do here. I've said it all the time. I think that Sean Payton's a fantastic coach. He's making Bo Nix look like a quarterback, and I don't think any of us really expected that going into the season. Bo Nix has had a very, very up and down career in college. So credit to them. I think they're going to lose today.
It'll be close.
I think it'll be close. Yeah, I think it'll be a lot closer. We have 7.5.
I don't know if the Broncos are necessarily going to play spoiler here. Someone's got to beat this team. Unless if they truly run the gambit, and if they go undefeated and win 3, if they break 2 records in 1 year, hats off to the Chiefs, hats off to
Andy Reid.
Yeah, and whatever. Like that'd be great to see. I don't mind the Chiefs. I think Patrick Mahomes is the man. I love the way he carries himself. I think he's a great quarterback. A lot of times with like superstars and stuff, you get tired of watching him play and do all that stuff. I don't feel like that for Patrick Mahomes. I genuinely enjoy. I think he's just such a upstanding guy. I love the way he talks to the media and whatever. But for the Broncos here, so with the Chiefs haven't covered a spread, I don't think, all season long. So I think the line here last time I checked it was 9.5. Might have dropped down to 7.5. I don't know. Let me see. I have ESPN up here.
It's 7. I've got ESPN bets got them at 7.5. So
7.5.
FanDuel's
So
got them at 8 or
that's
7.
a lot of points, man. That's a touchdown.
Yeah.
I'm willing, like we said at the top of the show here, the Kansas City Chiefs are not the best team in the NFL. They have the best record in the NFL, but they are not the best team in the NFL, and they've been heavily reliant on their defense here, I feel, as if to win them games. And, they've been filling the gaps with Patrick Mahomes and whatnot. But at the same time, a lot of the teams they play are in these games until the very end, until Patrick Mahomes has to become Patrick Mahomes and win on what we saw it last week with Tampa Bay, where you got the ball in overtime and that was aces. So I like to think that the Broncos, they don't win today, but I do think they're going to cover that 7.5. That's a lot of points for a frisky Broncos team here. Like you said, Bo Nix is looking all right. They have Williams. What's his first name?
Who are you talking about?
The running back?
Or the Chiefs?
Javonte. Javonte hasn't been that good.
He's playing okay, though. I have him on a fantasy team. He's not doing too bad. He's definitely, he's been injury ridden for most of his career, but I feel like this is like a solid season for him thus far. So I think, I don't know, man. I wouldn't be shocked here if the Broncos come out and keep this game close.
No, I don't mean to cut you off, but my landlord's here. I got a jet. So
go for it.
Just want to finish up. I think this could be a trap game for the Chiefs, oddly enough. The Broncos, like we said, are playing good football. Obviously, last week was a stinker. They have a good defense. And I think this last time they beat the Chiefs was at home at last year. I think it was 24-9. And this could be a game where you see the Chiefs finally lay one. But obviously, they're the Chiefs. It's going to be close. I don't think they covered much this year. So we know we'll be within a score. And it's just a matter of Bo Nix can take advantage of probably some positive game script and finally beat the Chiefs this year. So
yeah, we'll see.
And I think it needs to get done through the air because the Chiefs have the best rush defense in the NFL, and Javonte Williams, while you said he's been solid for fantasy overall, it's been hit or miss. He's had a couple really good games, but he's had some really bad games too, where they really haven't been able to move the ball on the ground. So they're going to need to do it through the air, in my opinion.
They did give up. Give up 4 rushes.
Let's go Lions, let's go Jets, and let's go Panthers.
See you, Zach.
Peace, guys.
See you
Sorry.
later, Zach. Something to note here. I'm gonna fix our layout. Something to note here. Last week they beat Kansas. They beat Tampa. I believe that game went into overtime. Am I correct on that?
Mm-hmm.
The what? The Tampa Bay game?
Yeah, that was in prime time.
Yep.
They beat Tampa in overtime. Something to watch here. They gave up 4 rushes for 20 yards to Baker Mayfield. He averaged, obviously, 5 a carry. Bo Nix has some running ability. That's like the one way maybe I feel like the Broncos could squeak one out here is if they play lockdown defense on the Chiefs. As great as Pat Mahomes is, first of all, if he wins MVP this year, that's disgusting. I'm sorry, I don't care how many wins that team has. He's thrown a lot of picks.
Lamar Jackson.
I think it's between Josh and Lamar. I think those are your 2 front runners.
Jared Goff has something to say about that, but that's a
Fair enough.
separate
Nobody can
conversation.
touch Lamar Jackson. I'm sorry.
Lamar is turning the ball over.
No, he's not.
Ball over. He's certainly got more than Jared Goff.
No, he doesn't.
Definitely does.
He doesn't.
Okay.
He only has 2 picks. Lamar Jackson's the best player ever.
How many
Ridiculous.
fumbles does he have?
Maybe 2.
Yeah, I was just about to say, what about fumbles?
I'll tell you right now. I mean, here's the thing. Lamar Jackson is so much better than everybody else right now. It's actually crazy. It's just crazy stuff. You watch him play.
Lamar has
incredible
6 turnovers this year. He's fumbled 4 times. He's fumbled 6 times. He's lost it 4 times. He's thrown 2 picks. He's got 24 touchdowns. He's got 26 total touchdowns. So he's definitely beating Jared Goff in the touchdown category here.
How many fumbles does Goff have? None.
No, Jared's got a few, but I don't know how many he's lost. Give me a second here.
The only thing that I feel like hurts Jared a little bit is that he doesn't
throw for a lot.
Exactly. Yeah. Like he throws well, but he's averaging like 175 a game, give or take.
Yeah.
So.
But what's helping his case right now, which is no one in the NFL could say. So he's got no fumbles lost, 4 interceptions. So he's got 4. Lamar's got 6. But Jared actually has a receiving touchdown. So that's something Lamar can't say right now. But yeah, Jared's only got 14 touchdowns. What's helping Jared is the guy, knock on wood, because now we're playing in primetime today. Jared's got more touchdowns than he does incompletions. I know it was like in the last 6 games, so I don't know if it's in the total of the year, but that's insane. That's fucking insane. Aaron Rodgers was talking about it today on this week on Pat McAfee, and Aaron Rodgers was saying he's got my vote for MVP, because to do what Jared is doing right now, I know he's got a great supporting cast, but to not even have incompletions is insane. He ended that game against the Seahawks. He went 18 for 18.
Yeah,
it's I know what Lamar is just a crazy amount of touchdowns, but Jared's playing so efficiently right now. And what helps him is that he's got probably the best backfield in football. I mean, you have David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs to hand it off to. I know the Ravens have Derrick Henry, but after Derrick Henry, that's kind of it. Who's the other guy?
Yeah, but here's the thing:
J.K. Dobbins is on the Chargers.
He's got like 600 more passing yards.
Yeah,
and he's also got like 700 rushing yards. It's really not close. Jared Goff is an amazing player, and he's valuable. He's very valuable to the Lions, but Lamar Jackson is the best player I've seen.
Lamar's
ever.
a better quarterback. There's no doubt about it. But I mean,
it's incredible watching the guy.
The other thing you have to think about too is we're getting into November now. Like Lamar usually misses a game or two in December, a game in November. If Lamar misses a few games and the Ravens end the season, the regular season, with like 5-6 losses, and the Lions end the season with like, at this point, 3 losses, and Jared is continuing to be as efficient as he is, it's going to be very hard to not. It's going to be a very hard discussion. But I think that it's better than what we've seen in years past, where it's like you just know Mahomes is getting it, right? Mahomes finds a way to throw for a bunch of touchdowns, and it's like it's nothing against Mahomes, but it's like when Brady won every year. And I love Brady. Brady was a guy, just like the way that you talk about Mahomes, that's the way I view Brady. I loved watching Tom Brady. To me, that's the best quarterback I've ever seen play. But like it got boring after a while when it's like every year, it's that guy getting the MVP nod, right? And it's the same thing now today with Pat Mahomes. Even if the Chiefs don't have the best season, Pat Mahomes is still going to get the MVP. Although Lamar's got 2 to his name, right? He won 1 year ago and he won last year. So it's going to be a good discussion. Listen, I'm not offended if they want to give it to Lamar over Jared. I'm not offended. Like, first of all, it ain't about winning MVPs; it's about winning Super Bowls. Like, nobody gives a shit.
Exactly. Yep.
Nobody cares. But you know what, man? If Lamar was a Chief, he'd have a Super Bowl or 2. It is the reality of the situation.
Oh, definitely.
It sucks. It sucks because that's all anybody cares about. But you know what? I've watched so much losing football to start appreciating players that, would be better if they had the best offensive coordinator and the best defensive coordinator on the same team with Hall of Famers all over. I mean, Pat Mahomes is amazing, but, Andy Reid was looking for the amazing quarterback. The amazing quarterbacks are all over the NFL, and Mahomes is the one that got to play with the best coaching. Very similar to Tom Brady. Tom Brady is an amazing quarterback, but he got to play with the number 1 greatest defensive mind ever to touch a football field, and it helped him win a lot of Super Bowls. His best move Brady ever made was going to the Bucs, which
was Bruce Arians, who's one of the best offensive minds. Yeah,
prepared to win. They had the best defense. They had Godwin, Evans. They signed Antonio Brown, and they had the bruising running back. He made a very calculated decision, and they won a Super Bowl.
Playoff Lenny.
Yeah, they won a Super Bowl because of it. But
it's also the Michael Jordan argument here, where it was the 90s, and you just all these great basketball teams coming through. You got the Knicks, you got the Pistons, you got the Celtics, the Rockets.
Pacers.
The list goes on. Yeah, the list goes on and on about all these great teams, but they had to run through the best basketball player to ever play. You look at the NFL now. You got the Bills, you got the Ravens, you got I'm trying to think who else falls into that conversation. The Bengals, teams like that who have to all these great teams, but all roads lead to Patrick Mahomes. And then 5-6 years ago, before Patrick Mahomes, it was all roads go through Foxborough, where it's just these dominant figures are just, you'd be so good. Like if there was no Patrick Mahomes, I'm confident in saying the Ravens would have one, if not two Super Bowls. The Bills would have a Super Bowl. The Joe Burrow would have I guess I can't really say Joe Burrow because he lost in the Super Bowl and beat the Chiefs, but like, you know what I'm saying though? Like it's just, it's wild. Just the domination that's how it goes. And it's
when you pair a tremendous quarterback with one of the best head coaches the league has ever seen, and he's withstood time. I mean, Andy Reid has coached in 3-4 different, on a head coach level, he's coached in 3 different decades, right? He was the early 2000s Eagles, the mid 2010s Eagles, to now the 2010s Chiefs and the 2020 Chiefs. So this is a guy that wins everywhere he goes. Things kind of ran their course in Philly. Some of it was his fault. Some of it wasn't. And he's found a home here in Kansas City. And it's almost like when we're talking about Andy Reid going into the Hall of Fame, in my opinion, the first day he's eligible to be in, that man should be in.
Yeah.
And I think in most football fans' opinions, but
yeah,
do you? I guess you remember him and you recognize him more as a Chief, but it takes away from all he did in Philly. I mean, when he was in Philly, this team was perennially in the playoffs. They had been on a couple of runs with Donovan McNabb and then later with Mike
Brian
Vick,
Dawkins, good
all
team.
These guys, right? So the guy knows how to run an organization, knows how to run a team. He does lose control here and there when it comes to off the field issues. Not to take a shot, and I'm becoming a parent soon too, but I know he's had some issues with his kids. One of them passed away a few years ago from an overdose, so he's had his issues in the locker room. Guys driving erratically and not following the law and whatever. He is all for giving second chances. You saw that with Mike Vick. That was not a popular thing to do in whatever it was, 2011, 2010. That was really not a very popular thing to do. There was a lot of pushback, rightfully so, but he gave him a second chance, and he's got a great eye for talent. He definitely knows how to draft as well. This is a guy that year after year finds some 4th, 5th, 6th round receiver that's going to somehow contribute to this team in a positive way. So credit to him. He's probably the best offensive mind we've ever seen in our lifetime. I mean, Bruce Arians is up there, but definitely Andy Reid's a name. Another game I have on here, Steelers Commanders, doesn't sound super, I guess, exciting when you say it out loud, but another opportunity to see Jaden Daniels. I believe that's in the 1:00 window. So if you're in our area, the New York area, if you have, I guess, people go to Stream East. I don't do that shit. I have the Sunday ticket.
No, I'm past. I pay for cable.
That's a game to tune into. That's going to be really interesting. I guess Russell Wilson's playing, but I'm interested to see what Jaden Daniels could do. Over under at that game is 45.5, and the Commanders at home are -2.
I like the Commanders in this game. I took the Commanders, so I put together this morning, drinking my coffee on my couch. I was up early. I got hurt yesterday. I got cleaned. Thanks for that, Vanderbilt, but neither here nor there. So I needed a win, and I put together a nice little teaser ticket. I teased the
You bet
Panthers.
against Vanderbilt?
No, I bet for Vanderbilt, and they lost.
Oh, they lost. Okay.
Yeah.
The Livy Dunn curse, whatever her name is. Livy Dunn?
Livy Dunn. No, that's LSU.
Yeah, no. But she had said something about Vanderbilt before the game.
Oh.
She had talked. She threw some shade at Saban. But go ahead.
Fucking Livy Dunn, whatever. Anyways, so I teased the Panthers, the Patriots, the Commanders, the Bills, and there was a fifth team in there too. Hold on, where is it? Bills, Patriots, Panthers, Falcons. The Falcons are the fifth team. I teased those up 6 points. I don't even think I need to tease the Commanders, but I got them at +2.5 here. And I think this is going to be a great game. The Steelers, contrary to my feelings and surprises, they're a good football team, man. I watched that primetime game they had a couple weeks ago. I forgot who they played, but it was it was the fucking Jets, wasn't it? I don't know, but they're not bad, man. And people called Tomlin a madman for throwing in Russ over Fields, and it's been working. And now that they brought in Mike Williams, who's a deep ball specialist, Russ can throw. So we'll see what happens.
That
here,
seemed like a draft compensation thing, though.
Oh, you think so?
Did. Yeah, because I think if he had played like, I forgot what the number was, 61% of the snaps, they had to go from giving up like a 6th-round pick to a 4th-round pick or something.
Oh, for Russ, you're talking about? Yeah, gotcha.
No. For
Fields.
For Fields, for signing Fields. So,
Yeah.
That's weird. But let the Russell.
They're top
thing,
of the AFC North, which is a tough division
winning.
to play in here. Yeah,
I think what the Steelers have proven. First of all, since Big Ben, I think we when we talked about the best quarterbacks of the 2000s and the 2010s, you talk about obviously Rodgers, you talk about Tom Brady, you talk about a lot of these guys, right? You kind of like, you bring up Ben, but people are always like, yeah, he was on a great team, but blah blah blah. Like, since Ben has left Pittsburgh, that quarterback door has been a revolving door. It was Mason Rudolph. It was
Kenny Pickett.
That was a disaster. You knew that was happening.
What about Duck Hodgins? He was in there for a little bit.
I mean, they have gone through so many quarterbacks since Ben's left. Like, if Ben was anything, man, the guy, well, he wasn't stable off the field, but he was stable on the field. The guy was always playing. So, I think his career is looked at a little differently since he has retired there. But it definitely proves it doesn't matter who the Steelers are going to start. As long as that defense is bringing the pressure, they can win games. And I think that they have a chance. Like, is this crazy to say that they could probably they can win the AFC North? Like, I don't see the Bengals doing it. The Browns are done. I know the Ravens are the Ravens, but
they beat the Ravens, correct? I'm looking.
I don't know if they
no, they haven't played them yet.
Like,
they
listen,
have them. Yeah,
Facino, in respect to your Ravens now that you've given us some facts, in respect to your Ravens here,
Yeah.
like, gun to my head, I'm taking the Ravens, and it's not close. But, like, if you're kind of just right now, they're leading the division. They're 6-2. Ravens are 5-3. They play the Ravens next week, so that's gonna be telling. If they could beat the Ravens next week, I think they're winning this division. And I don't think they're going to beat the Ravens, but
I would say there is effectively no chance that the Steelers can win the division.
I don't know, man.
I think
I
that.
don't know. Yeah. I think this is around.
Are you
where
guys
it's gonna
watching?
Be. That's going to be
you guys
some
watching
NFC,
what this guy's
AFC
doing?
North football.
I think you guys are missing what this guy's doing. He has 123 passer rating for the season. He's on another level. We talked about this week 1, week 2. The biggest offseason move, adding Derrick Henry, completely put this guy on another planet. He is on another planet. Nobody can stop him. He does whatever the fuck he wants on a football field. No one has seen anything like this. He's got some of the best pocket presence you'll ever see. He can evade any pass rush. He makes people look stupid. He makes linebackers look stupid. You have to account for his running ability. He throws it right over your head. It's so easy for him right now. There is nothing the Steelers can do. TJ Watt is not good enough. I don't care if he's a defensive player of the year. He is not good enough,
dude.
There's no way.
If you look at the
one
defensive
player
stats from Pittsburgh here, they're second in points against with 4.
It doesn't matter. The Ravens are going to put 30
I think
on.
Steelers have a real good defense.
The Ravens are going to put 30 on them at home, and the Steelers are going to go, oh my God, we just will never fucking beat the Ravens. The Ravens are going to the Super Bowl this year. The Steelers could potentially start to waver here if they lose to the Commanders this week. If they lose there and then they lose to the Ravens, I don't think the Browns are an easy win. They don't match up well against the Browns and Steelers. The Bengals are looking to make the playoffs. They have to play the Eagles. They have to play the Ravens again. Then they have to play the Chiefs, and then they have to finish up against the Bengals again. There's a chance the Steelers could stumble down the stretch here and lose 4 games. You think the Ravens are going to have a 7-loss season?
I didn't think that the Steelers would start 6-2. I also didn't think that the Ravens were going to lose 2 games to start the season. And yes, as great as Lamar is playing, that's absolutely true. But the Ravens defense is not good. There's a reason that it does matter. It does matter because there's 3 phases to this game, right?
Offense, one defense, phase for Lamar.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, look,
And
Lamar Jackson
when
wins-
Lamar walks into the AFC Championship and throws 3 picks against the Chiefs, what are we going to say? Oh, well, this guy dropped the pass. Like, Lamar has not done it yet.
There's only one player in the history of football with a higher win percentage in the regular season than Lamar Jackson, and it's Pat Mahomes. He does not.
But it ain't just about the regular season. It ain't.
But
just
we're
about
talking
there's a
about the
postseason.
regular season.
Yes.
He's not going to lose to the Steelers. Ravens have won this division already. Just like they've won this division. They basically won it last night when they beat the Bengals.
I think that they will too. I just don't think it's an open and closed conversation at all. And if the Ravens lose next week to the Steelers, there better be some crow being eaten on this show.
I wouldn't. I don't. Even if they lose to the Steelers, they won't lose another game.
You don't think so?
The Lamar Jackson is. I don't know how you guys.
No one's denying Lamar Jackson. No,
I don't. I think
denying
historically the Ravens don't play the Steelers well.
Well, this year they're going to be.
It's like a back and forth. It's pretty bad. I think it's like a 50-50. It's a very, very back and
Let me
forth.
see if I can find it.
I watched this guy play. I can't believe what I'm watching. He is just
35-25
best.
Steelers.
And he's throwing it at an elite level. He's the best. He actually has the highest passing grade for via PFF.
And you know what the funny thing
quarterback.
is?
And
People still won't admit he can throw. I want to punch those people in the face. I can't stand those people. I cannot stand them. They're racist. I don't care. I said it. You're right. You're absolutely correct. You're
They're
absolutely
racist.
something about that Lamar. Something about that Joe Flacco
It's
that
crazy,
I trust more.
man. It's so crazy to me. Like, what are these people? What are you? Are we watching different football games? I watch this guy. I'm like, obviously Mahomes is the best we've ever seen. I get it. This guy is the only quarterback that I watch. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, I don't think Mahomes could do that. I don't think Mahomes could do that. I say it all the time.
But Mahomes could stay healthy down the stretch. Mahomes knows how to stay on the field.
Lamar,
Listen,
and he's playing hurt, dude. He's playing hurt.
The league absolutely favors Mahomes over anybody. Okay, nobody in this league has gotten more turnovers, Cole reversed than Pat Mahomes. Literally,
you know a fun fact? You know what ADOT is? ADOT is average depth of target. It's the best stat because nowadays it's like, oh, completion percentage. These guys are throwing the ball and they have like a 70% completion percentage. But what's his ADOT? Peyton Manning's ADOT for his career was 9.2. Lamar Jackson's is 9.3, and they both have a 65% completion percentage. And they want to tell me Lamar Jackson can't throw a football.
I don't. But if you're having an intelligent conversation, right? Like, I don't think the issue is with Lamar throwing. I don't think the issue is with any of that. But in terms of if you're Lamar Jackson, like, this is your year to take this Ravens team to the Super Bowl. Because whether it's fair or not, because Matt Stafford had to deal with it for years in Detroit, where he would play his ass off and they still couldn't win a playoff game. And that's all he had to hear.
Mm-hmm.
All he had to hear, oh, Matt can't win. Matt can't win the big games. The guy goes to L.A., he wins a Super Bowl in the first year. Okay?
Yep.
If you're Lamar Jackson, and the same, honestly, the same thing goes for Josh Allen. You got to get over that Chiefs hump. Because no matter how good the Chiefs are, people are going to start to look at you. And listen, the same's going to go for Jared Goff this year, right? Because the Lions are set up to go to the Super Bowl. And I acknowledge that. But I'm just saying, if you're Lamar Jackson and if you're Josh Allen, you've got to take these fucking teams to the Super Bowl. You can't keep using Pat Mahomes. And it's not that they do, but the way that they're going to look, for better or worse, people are going to still continue to keep looking at both these guys and say, yeah, you're great in the regular season. Yeah, you're in the MVP race. Big deal. You're going to go with the Arrowhead, or the Chiefs are going to come to you. They're going to kick your fucking ass, and they're going to go win another Super Bowl. Like, you've got to break that trend, I guess. And for me, the biggest thing for me with Lamar Jackson is staying on the field, staying healthy, and being able to show how good a passer you are in the playoffs. Now, my God, Baltimore receivers, after January 1st, learn how to hang on to the ball, because if there's been anything that has plagued Lamar in the playoffs, it's not so much turnovers, it's his receivers dropping the ball on third down. And I will absolutely give him that. But I'm just saying, for better or for worse, for fair or not, if Lamar or Josh Allen does not make it to a Super Bowl this year, like, the respect is like, it's there, but you're just a regular season quarterback. That's what you are. And that's not fair, because QB wins are not a stat, and it takes great teams to win championships. And I acknowledge that. And I acknowledge that Lamar is a better quarterback than Jared Goff. And fine, absolutely. But you got to beat the Chiefs, and you got to beat Mahomes. It's truth. It's the fucking truth. I'm sorry. It just is.
Something that
Right?
Matt Stafford's never had to worry about.
How
Bad
absolutely.
receiving.
It's interesting because when
You cannot compare Matt's time in Detroit to Lamar's time in Baltimore. He's got great coaching staffs. He's got great players to play with.
Lamar Jackson
was
would
doing
win.
nothing.
He would win
Matt Stafford
anywhere.
had
Matt Stafford
nothing to
won
work with.
0-16.
No, that's what
No,
led
he
to
didn't.
Stafford. He was
Wasn't. Oh, that was Orlovsky.
Lamar
right?
Jackson would win anywhere he went. The problem is that it's very hard he can't win in the playoffs consistently. But the way his running ability opens up the running game, and his running ability opens up the passing game. He's the only quarterback. There's no quarterback like him. There'll never be another quarterback like him. He's one of one. He's the best. And if you go by Super Bowls, I would give you Mahomes and Brady as the only quarterbacks that I would take over Lamar Jackson in any era ever.
over Aaron Rodgers.
Of course. It's not even close. Lamar Jackson is infinitely better than these players. They just happen to win Super
So-
Bowls, and Lamar happens to not.
If you go back, it's only showing me Ravens. Okay, I mean, the last time we saw Lamar in the playoffs, and not all his fault, but this is the stat line, right? This is how you're remembered. 1 touchdown, 1 interception. They scored 10 points in their own stadium and lost to the Chiefs.
Yep.
Like, you got to turn this around, and it's for better or for worse. It's on Lamar. It's on Lamar. It's on John Harbaugh more so, but it's on Lamar. Like, turn this around. Beat Mahomes. Beat Mahomes and shut everybody up. Go to the Super Bowl. Give America a Lions and Ravens Super Bowl. Enough of this fucking 49ers Chiefs that we've gotten, 2-3 times already. No one wants to see that shit. Honestly, nobody wants to see the fucking Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Give America a Baltimore-Detroit Super Bowl. I think that would be fucking awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
One of those two fan bases is one's breaking a curse, and the other one would be proving what Lamar is and always was. But he's got to get there, and it's on him to do it.
I do think this is the year. I mean, I think we'll see. I think we'll end up getting Bills Ravens AFC Championship. I think the path for the Lions is kind of paved for the most part. Who's your biggest adversary that you might have at this point? It's usually the Rams or the Niners, and both of them are kind of treading water at this point. But one game we didn't get to talk about today. I guess the Commanders,
Packers,
but I think the Commanders are going to be in the same situation you guys are in last year. You got to take your licks. You got to take your licks before you get to the big one. They're too young. They're too inexperienced. They're going to get to like the second round. People are going to be banged up. People are going to be hurt. They're not going to know how to deal with adversity. Lions have been there now. They kind of know what it takes to get that far and what they have to do differently. And I think they'll make those correct adjustments. One game we didn't talk about though today, Niners Bucks. Niners Bucks is the return of CMC today. That's going to be huge. I think that's going to be. I think that's going to be how the Niners are going to be able to turn around their season. Not that it's been going poorly. They're 500 right now, but adding Christian McCaffrey into your roster, if he's able to stay healthy, I think is going to be an absolute surge, especially with Ayuk being out. Not that he was doing too much, and Debo's hurt too. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Debo is hurt.
Yeah, so
Debo is hurt.
CMC is going to be your go-to guy. Him and the guy that got shot. So
He's questionable.
he's playing. He's playing. They're playing at 1. They just didn't announce it yet. He's playing. He better be playing.
Ayuk is out. I know that.
Ayuk's hurt.
It looks like.
But I honestly, usually the Niners are like that's the one team that you would face that's much like the Chiefs in the NFC. The Niners are always like the shoo-in for the NFC Championship game for the past couple of years now.
What's going to help us this year is even if the Niners are that team again, they've got 4 losses. Odds are they're going to lose 1-2 more.
It'll be a home game. Yeah, absolutely.
Right? It'll be a home game in Detroit. So
that's if you can win that's if you can win the North, dude. That's if you can win the North.
That's if we can win
the North.
You got to win the North. Exactly. Listen, I think we're going to lose. We're going to lose a couple more games this year. What matters is we've got to win the head-to-head matchups with Green Bay and Minnesota. We've already run both of them there. And we've played them both there. So now we're playing Green Bay and Minnesota at home. We still have both of the Bears games.
You beat them both?
We beat them both already.
Yeah.
We are 2-0 in the division so far. So, that's definitely reassuring because even if we end up with 3-4 losses, if we win those head-to-head matchups, I'm sure the Vikings, I think will have more than 3 or 4 losses on the year. They're already at 2.
I don't know, dude.
They're at 2 already. I mean, you look at the rest of their season here. They're playing the Jaguars today. They're probably going to win that game, right? They're playing the Titans. They're probably going to win. They have to go to Chicago to play the Bears. Eberflus might be fired by then, and you've got one of those redemption games. They still have to play the Cardinals. They still have to play the Falcons. They play the Bears again. Seahawks.
How is that
Packers.
A redemption game against? Oh, you're saying
it would be like a redemption, fire the head coach.
Interim coach bump. I got you.
Yes. So we'll see. I see 2 more losses at a minimum on the Vikings schedule, and it's still Sam Darnold throwing for them. Like, it's a backup quarterback that's starting for you. So that guy's going to make mistakes. It's bound to happen. And not saying my guy can't, but I think you're much more likely to get Sam Darnold to make some mistakes.
And we've seen him be human this year plenty of times. He played like dog shit against the Jets. There's been plenty of games where he just hasn't showed up. Where he hasn't showed up. So
yeah,
that's more than likely to happen. You're absolutely correct there. I don't know. We'll see.
We got them, I feel like, at their best because they had a bye week leading into our game. We played them in their stadium off a bye week, a week after Aiden Hutchinson snapped his leg in half. So, like, if there's a week you want to play the Detroit Lions, it's probably a week just like that. And we won by a field goal, last-minute field goal, but we won. So
that was a good game.
I feel good about where the Lions are. I feel good about beating the Vikings down the stretch. It wouldn't shock me if we lose the second Packers game that we've got on our schedule, because they always play us so tight that that series goes back and forth now as of recent. But and I feel good about beating the Bears. I feel good about beating the Bears twice. I think the one in Chicago will be tough. But if Jared Goff has shown us anything this year, one thing that he's shown us, what he showed us last week, is the idea of him being soft and him not being able to play in the cold weather. It seemed to affect the other guy a whole lot more than it affected him.
Yeah.
Jared did not throw for a lot of yards. I believe it was like 145 yards, but kept the ball in our hands, took care of it, led the offense. I can't complain with anything.
Not to take away from that win, but I don't think Jordan Love should have played that game.
I think that the Packers actually would have had a better chance at winning if Malik Willis was starting
under
that
center.
Game. Yeah, I definitely think so. I think that was a mistake, but nonetheless, that was their decision. And nobody seems to feel bad for us when one of our guys is hurt. And perfect timing, too, for whatever it was, Xavier McKinney, to say the Lions seem to embarrass teams, and we don't take kindly to that here. Go out and stop us. And you didn't. My buddy Shoes is chiming in. Looks like this is a shot at me.
Shoes!
Fast forward a few months, and Pat's going to be saying, would felt more comfortable if we were playing the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Yeah, probably. Definitely would feel more comfortable playing the Chiefs and the Ravens. I could definitely
fucking Shoes.
But at least I could say this. If we are lucky enough to be in the Super Bowl and we're playing the Ravens, I feel like we're going to get a very fairly called game, as opposed to if you're playing the Chiefs, like you pick off Pat Mahomes, it's probably coming back. Someone fumbles, it's probably coming back. Like you know that you're getting the same calls that the Cowboys get in primetime, or those mid 2010s Patriots team would get. It always seemed like. So we have anything else here? We're at an hour 8. Does anybody have I didn't even get into the Lions game today. They're playing the Texans.
It's gonna be a good game, but I think the Lions beat the piss out of them.
I think the play here is going to be hammer the spread and hammer the under. I saw a video from my anonymous gambler guy thing that uses AI to make these weird videos. And the ref that's coming in, the under hits like 70% of the time. And then something about home dogs being favored by less than 5.5. I'm sorry. Road dogs being favored by less than 5.5. The Lions are currently 3.5 as it stands right now.
They're not road dogs though. They're road favorites.
That's what I mean. Whatever. The favorites on the road are going to be favored by like minus 5.5. I don't know. I'm not a stats guy. I just listen to these. I'm just trying to reiterate. Hammer the spread, hammer the under, throw in Monty for a TD. We'll match the ticket. We'll end the Sunday night with a win. That's how I'm looking at things.
All right, boys. Good show, and we will see you all next Sunday.
Sounds like a plan.
Let's go Lions. Let's go Jags. Let's go Jets. Jet up.
Jet the fuck up.
Jets in a